I really did not come to speak. I came to stand and be numbered among all of you who come to tribute a great man who has served this institution well. When you look for criminals, you check for fingerprints. But when you look for giants, you check for footprints. I came here today because there are many footprints that have been planted around this university and across this globe, and they bear the marks of Dr. E.R. Williams, Jr. I did not mind being here today, and even though I just left here about a month ago celebrating the 45th anniversary of the NIU Black Choir, of which I was an esteemed member, and I see many of the students who are here today. I recall, and if you allow me, just since it's a dangerous thing to give a Baptist preacher a microphone without notes, and I've been now in ministry 29 years, so I just want you all to know that if it sounds like 3 points, that's because y'all didn't give me time to prepare. That's all right, because some of y'all skipped church on Memorial Day anyway, so I'll just give you credit for this one. I arrived at this university actually 36 years ago. I was only 4 years old, maybe, if I look young to you. I came as a student dropped off by my mother and father, who themselves had dropped out of college in order to raise a family of 4 children. But they prayed, since they could not finish their undergraduate pursuits, that their children would carry on the work that they invested their time in, to be parents and to be at home and to work hard to make that happen. I would always hear them pray that they could raise us so that somebody would love us other than them. I didn't know what that meant until I left their home. I remember when I arrived at NIU, pulled up in front of Grant North and was assigned room 869. And the second stop that I made after that, and getting in that long line for financial aid that many people are familiar with. But I took an opportunity to also take a walk, and I was introduced to a group called NIU Black Choir, of which I went that following Wednesday, and I met a man that literally changed my life. When I met Dr. E.R. Williams, Jr. there, and he was a math professor, I've watched many transitions in these 36 years. I noted, and I was able to denote at that time of my life, that here was someone that was probably the answer to my parents' prayers. I noted not only what he did, but how he did what he did, and the commitment to life that he shared in. I could fill this room up with all the memories that took place from that time until then. I did serve then as a part of the choir, became the director of the choir for several years, and left this university, as Danielle said, as one of the 5, as a graduate in the accounting department. When I left, there was a whole slew of people who were friends, but I walked out the only African-American who graduated that last year in the accounting department, all because there was someone named Eddie R. Williams who gave me the confidence and the commitment to know that I could make it. I left here at that time and proposed to a girl who was part of the choir, and I proposed to her right outside of Loudon Hall. I don't know if Eddie knows that. I figured that since he made it there with some money, maybe if I prayed on the steps of the financial aid, the Vice President of Finance, maybe I might be able to take care of her. But as of 6 months ago, we've been married 30 years. And it all started here. We've been the privilege of raising children, the oldest son of which also had the opportunity to come here to this university. And I've seen the cycle continue. I looked at Doc Eddie when I was here just a month ago, and we were celebrating 35 years as a faculty advisor. And I've been privileged now in ministry. Next year will be my 30th year serving as pastor and priest. But the truth is that I watched the legacy of his greatness, knowing that the fruit does not fall far from the tree. He's a great man because he came from a great man. I knew his father, and I watched the diligence and dedication which he served, and Success without successors is failure. I watched with joy as I saw him standing with his own son, Craig, and family and others, and see the legacy continue. I began to understand the cycle of life is not about the assets you accumulate, because the truth is that whenever your day to check out from planet Earth comes, none of the stuff that we acquire here we can take with us. I've done many funerals, but I've yet to see a U-Haul truck behind the hearse carrying anything away with us. But the things that matter the most, the intangibles of life, the attitude of heart, I believe is summed up best by the Apostle Paul in his letter to his son Timothy, because he wrote a letter at the end of his journey to a young man about a church that had not treated him very well. But he had to commend him to be able to be dedicated to a work, even though those who he was commending him to had not yet valued all that he had done. But Paul said to him, he said, the time of my departure is at hand. I'm about to be poured out as a drink offering, and his graduating ceremony was actually going to be Nero's chopping block. His cap and gown was a bloodstained banner and an old rugged cross. But as he got to the end, there were three things that were the hallmark of his career. One, he said, I fought a good fight. And that word really means not that I did a lot of fighting, even though that's part of it. But he was really saying I fought in a good fight. That is, I found a cause worth fighting for, and I gave my life to it. Then he says, I finished my course. What I started, I was able to complete. Wasn't always easy. In Detroit, we have always been trying to pursue the pennant again in many areas, and Detroit Tigers looks like they're going after it, but they learned something because they went after great starters like Verlander and others, but they figured out that you don't win baseball games just with starters, but you need some finishers. And it's the closers, it's those who can come in and finish what others have started that makes the difference. I watched him serve several presidents. I think Bill Minot was here when I was a student, and Dr. Peters, who now steps aside him. But every president could respect the fact that it was good to find a man who knew how to ride in the second chariot and could support the work and could make sure that the work could be done seamlessly without having to be out front, but to make sure that whatever we start, we could finish. It's not finished until the work has been completed. When you hit the baseball out of the park, if you notice, the batter doesn't just go back into the bullpen, but he starts running. And the reason he starts running is because the run doesn't count until he comes home. And when you touch home and home plate, then the run goes up. So I come to you to say today, Doc, in that last verse, he says, I also kept the faith. Because after this is over, there's still work to be done. You may be retired from this work, but the work continues. Jesus said it is finished. He didn't say I am finished. He just said this part of my work is finished. So as you go on to the next level, let me just say to you, this celebration is just a pause in the paragraph of your life. It's not a period yet, because the end of the sentence is the only privilege God has for himself. And when that day comes, the retirement celebration will be out of this world, because then you will have crossed home. Then the run goes up, and that's when it counts. Until then, keep fighting, keep finishing, and hold on to your faith. God bless you.